In the harsh and shifting landscape of 7th century Arabia, where loyalty defined identity and tribal honor shaped destiny, few men embodied strength, intelligence, and military brilliance like Khalid ibn al-Walid. Born into the powerful Quraysh tribe of Mecca, Khalid grew up in an environment where leadership, warfare, and prestige were woven into daily life. From a young age, he distinguished himself as a natural strategist, a man whose instincts on the battlefield were as sharp as the sword he carried. At that time, the message of Islam, brought by Prophet Muhammad, was steadily spreading across Arabia. Yet, to the elite of Quraysh, this new faith represented a direct challenge to their authority, traditions, and social order. Khalid stood firmly among those who opposed it. He was not driven by ignorance or blind hatred, but by a calculated belief that this movement threatened the stability and honor of his people. His opposition was not passive. Khalid became one of the most formidable military figures standing against the Muslims. His strategic genius was displayed most famously during the Battle of Uhud, where his tactical maneuver turned the tide of battle against the Muslims. His cavalry charge from the rear disrupted their ranks, transforming near victory into painful defeat. That moment cemented his reputation as a master of war. Yet history often moves in ways that even the sharpest minds cannot predict. As years passed, the balance of power in Arabia began to shift. The Muslims, once a persecuted minority, were growing stronger. Their discipline, unity, and unwavering belief set them apart. Khalid, a man who studied his enemies carefully, could not ignore this transformation. What he witnessed was not merely military growth, it was something deeper, something rooted in conviction and purpose. Despite his outward resistance, a quiet internal conflict began to take shape. Khalid was not a man who followed blindly. He analyzed, questioned, and observed. The more he watched the Muslims, the more he recognized that their strength did not come solely from numbers or strategy, but from an unshakable faith. The turning point came after the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, a moment that revealed the long-term vision and patience of the Prophet. To many in Quraysh, the treaty seemed like a victory. But to a mind like Khalid's, it exposed something else entirely, a leadership that was not driven by impulse, but by wisdom and foresight. Around this time, Khalid began to feel increasingly disconnected from the stance he had once defended so fiercely. The certainty that once guided him started to weaken. The question was no longer whether Islam was growing, but whether he had been standing on the wrong side of truth. This internal struggle did not remain his alone. Others among Quraysh, including notable figures, were also beginning to reconsider their positions. The social pressure that once reinforced opposition was slowly dissolving. In its place emerged curiosity, reflection, and in some cases, acceptance. Khalid made a decision that would alter the course of his life forever. He set out for Medina, the city that had become the center of the Muslim community. This journey was not just physical, it was deeply personal. It marked the transition from resistance to reflection, from pride to humility. When Khalid arrived in Medina, he entered a society vastly different from the one he had known. It was a community built not on tribal superiority, but on equality, faith, and shared purpose. The very people he had once fought against now stood united under a single belief. His meeting with the Prophet was a moment of profound significance. Khalid, the warrior who had once led armies against Islam, now stood face to face with the man he had opposed for years. There was no hostility, no revenge, no reminder of past battles. Instead, he was met with acceptance and dignity. In that moment, Khalid embraced Islam. His conversion was not just the acceptance of a new religion, it was the transformation of a man whose identity had been shaped by conflict. The same qualities that had made him a feared opponent, intelligence, courage, and discipline, would now be redirected in service of a cause he believed in. The impact of Khalid's conversion was immediate and far-reaching. The Muslims gained not just a new member, but one of the greatest military minds of their time. His knowledge of warfare, combined with his newfound faith, made him an invaluable leader. In the years that followed, Khalid would earn the title Saifullah, meaning the sword of Allah. This title reflected not only his battlefield achievements but also the transformation of his purpose. He was no longer fighting against Islam, he was defending and expanding it. His leadership played a crucial role in key battles that shaped the early Islamic State. His strategies were marked by speed, precision, and adaptability. He became known for turning seemingly impossible situations into decisive victories. Yet, beyond the battlefield, Khalid's story remained a powerful reminder of something greater, the ability of a human being to change. His journey demonstrated that strength is not only found in physical power, but in the courage to reassess one's beliefs and embrace truth when it becomes clear. The man who once stood as a barrier to Islam became one of its strongest pillars. His life challenges a simple narrative of good versus evil. Instead, it presents a more complex and human story, one of growth, reflection, and transformation. Khalid was not defined solely by his past opposition, nor solely by his later contributions. He was defined by the journey between the two. In the end, the legacy of Khalid ibn al-Walid is not just that of a brilliant commander, but of a man who had the strength to change course when it mattered most. His story continues to inspire, reminding generations that no path is fixed, and no heart is beyond transformation. From the dust of the battlefield to the clarity of faith, his journey remains one of the most compelling in Islamic history, a testament to the power of conviction, the depth of reflection, and the enduring possibility of change.